Ugh. I'm out doing my daily 7 p.m. Pokemon run to take the local gym in my car. And as I was driving away, happily thinking to myself, oh, that's all right. 5 minutes, no one's about. I've got this for the night. Caught a shiny Wingull while I was sat there as well. The new shiny Pokemon. Sorted, I can go home now. I've done everything I needed to do in this game for today. And as I was thinking this to myself and all cheerful and happy, a bloody pigeon flew under the wheel of my car. And I don't know that I killed it. I'm assuming I killed it. The car's heavy. There was no pigeon corpse under or behind the car or around. I basically drove around the corner and pulled over because it was safer to do that than to just stop where I was. I feel really weird. I've never run over an animal before. I remember my wife when she first was driving and she basically come home in tears. I said, "What's wrong?" She said that a squirrel had ran out in the road and she watched it as it looked left, looked right, realised it was doomed, and then it apparently jumped under the wheel of the car coming on rather than under her car. I don't know what, but she was just like, "I caused it to die." This pigeon didn't look left and right. It just kind of was sat in the road and didn't move quick enough, and I don't know. I tried to go around it. I feel like I moved and killed. I know it's nothing to actually be that bothered by it, really, in the grand scheme of the world, but I feel terrible. It's weird because I had like meat for dinner, and I wouldn't feel terrible about that. But I've always had this argument with my wife. She's a vegetarian, and she always says, "How can you eat meat but not want to?" But find killing other stuff bad, and that's not exactly her wording, but I have kind of separated this in my mind. In my mind, an animal in a farm or a factory or whatever the kind of circumstances they're in is kind of just been bred and manufactured to be eaten, and it wouldn't have existed any other way. It doesn't have a family or a life. It just gets fed until it's eaten. And whilst that's not great, I'm not sat here going, "Yeah, I love the fact that they're all mindless drones." I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that pigeon had a family. That pigeon could have had a nest of baby pigeons, not at this time of year, I suppose, but it could have been a young pigeon. It could have had a whole pigeon life ahead of it. It could have been thinking, "I'll gather up my food for winter. I'll, gather up my little nest. I'll hibernate for a couple of months." Do pigeons hibernate? And then, springtime comes round, and it could have been knocking up all the mummy pigeons all over Deepin. But I'm hoping it got away from the mauling my car just gave it, because all I saw was a load of feathers fly up, and then another pigeon and two pigeons out the corner of my eye flying off to the side. I don't know whether that one just went under my car and round and flew off. But hopefully it's back at its nest telling all the other pigeons about its near miss, and it will know better in future than to sit in the middle of the road, especially at prime Pokemoning time. But I am weird with animals. Wild animals kind of freak me out, and I don't mean like in a scary kind of way. I mean like I mentioned, I'm sure before, we had a hedgehog in our garden, and I don't know why it just spooked the heck out of me. All I wanted to do was move it aside and make sure it was okay, and the dog was going nuts about it. And a normal person would have probably just picked it up in a bag or something and moved it aside and emptied the bag and let it go. But I just freaked out and locked the dog away and left it be. We once had a pigeon come down our loft in our house. I'm trying to remember. I'm suddenly remembering all these stories. I haven't planned to do a reminiscing about my cartoon life with animals coming out, so this is all coming out at a bit of a. I do feel weird. I feel thrown by the fact I just potentially mowed something down. That kind of thing will play on me, because to this point I had 0 murders to my name, unless you count bugs. I've never killed anything. I've trod on snails before, and that still haunts me. The feeling of that crashing under your foot is the worst. But no, this pigeon came down our loft one day, and we thought it might have been hurt. It was dazed and confused. It was sort of hopping around our living room, and Mrs. Sheepdog was panicking, and she kind of went out of the room, and I was panicking, and I'm messaging my mates, go, "What the hell do I do? It seems injured." And I rang the RSPCA, and they were like, "We don't come out for pigeons." And they were just like, if it's wounded, they basically said, if it's wounded, kill it. If it's not wounded, let it out, or if it is wounded, let it out. But if you think it's really, really bad, the best thing to do would be to put it out of its misery. And I was like, I'm not going to kill it. And my mates are going, well, if it needs putting out of its misery, you're going to have to snap its neck. And I'm like, I'm not going to snap a pigeon's neck. And there was this whole drama of me just trying to peep in the room and see where it was, and it was flapping about the place, and it went behind our sofa, and I'm just thinking, what do I do? Eventually I went in there and I threw a box over it, and it just happened to land just right, and I held it down. You could feel it bobbing up and down trying to get out of the box, and then I tried to slide another box underneath it, and I was trying to get the pigeon to jump just so I could slide the box under it, and it wouldn't jump, and I'm trying to, it was a right faff. Then I left it there for ages because I thought, I don't want to lift it. I don't want to lift it and it all goes wrong and the thing flies all over the room. So finally we can, built up the courage, opened our door, took it out into like our little, we had a driveway there. And then when I opened it, the blooming thing just flew off into the distance like nothing had happened. And I thought, well, I'd opened all the windows and stuff. Why didn't you do it before? I reckon it probably just thought, right, this is my chance. But I don't get on with pigeons at all. We had one, this is pretty graphic actually, but we had one at work flying to our window, eye first. And I say eye first because when it fell back off the window, it left its eye behind. It was, it haunts me. I'm just thinking about it, haunts me. And again, we tried to go out and save it. I was with a colleague who was much braver than me. She went out and was like, I'm just going to catch it and I'm going to drive it to the vets and all of this. And I'm thinking, like, we didn't catch it. We went around with a box trying to catch it for about 20 minutes. I kept thinking, we should get back to work. We're being paid to chase this pigeon around a car park. We should get back to our jobs. But I didn't see any, like, one-eyed pigeons collapse on the road or whatever. I don't know what happened to it. Obviously, it just flew off. But I don't get on well with them. The one that came into our house, the dog ended up with fleas for months. We're lucky we moved out. Basically we were moving out anyway. We had to give the dog loads of treatment because she ended up with some flea thing and the carpet needed doing, and it was a right nightmare considering I remember I was just sat there at my computer and I just heard crash bang wallop pigeon flying across the room. Nightmare. Same thing happened with the bloody the first hedgehog we had in the garden, gave the dog fleas, so that's probably what freaked me out about the second one. But no, I feel really. I drove around when I parked my car and checked under it for the pigeon and everything. I turned back and drove around the road to see whether it was still there at all. I just wanted to see whether it was on the side of the road or anything. Because part of me feels a bit better that it wasn't, but part of me feels like there was a lot of feathers flying around. I'm freaking out that whilst I did look at all the wheels and under the car and at the front bit, I'm worried that I'll park up and get out of my car at home and there'll just be this mushed up pigeon or something. Sorry, this is a bit gross. I hope no one's watching this over dinner. I'm basically doing this to get it out of my system because I don't want to go home and have a panic because Mrs. Sheepdog will be just laughing at me because I'm pretty sure as someone who's been driving for probably 10 years for her, she's probably hit a few things over the time, but this is literally the first time this has happened to me. I'm always really careful when I'm driving. Everyone's careful when they're driving, but when you assume you're always really careful and nothing happens ever, it's definitely a shock when something does happen. I could definitely see how people can easily have road accidents just driving around. I reckon there was a guy on the other side of the road when I was driving along, and I reckon he just thought, what the hell are you doing? I swerved the other week and nearly caused an accident because a bloody rabbit ran out, and I just wasn't thinking. I saw it run and I went to swerve right, and there was a car there, and luckily I was thinking straight. But I need to stop worrying, I think. But we just needs to get quicker at weighing up the thought process of me, the people in the car versus the rabbit. I'm just like, nobody needs to die, everybody wins, and it's what I don't want to be doing, because I know my brain, my quick thinking would opt for driving me over the edge to avoid hitting whatever, and that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be. I don't want my obituary to be that a bloody pigeon flew into the road, so I drove off a bridge, because my reactions that just seem to be that quick and that way inclined. It's just a bit awkward. I don't know. Anyway, bit of a random one, I know, but yeah. On the plus side, I got my shiny Wingull in Pokemon Go. There's a shiny Growlithe about as well, so I'm trying to find one of them. I got my mum visiting for the next 3 days, so my videos are probably all going to be out of the house because I don't want to intrude on her visiting, or I don't know. I just don't want to be asked about it, to be honest, by my mum. You know what mums are like. She'll ask 101 questions and I'll be like, whatever, mum, leave me alone, mum. So I don't know. Should be fun to have a visit anyway. If I feel like she won't be embarrassing, I might let her on something. But yeah, that's all for today. Bit random. I don't know what else to say other than subscribe, like, comment. But I hope I didn't kill it. See you tomorrow.